The floating city of Novaterra hung in the sky like a silver crown. Below it, the ruins of old Earth stretched for miles, cracked highways, fallen skyscrapers, and forests slowly taking back what was left. The people of Novaterra lived far above the damage, but they never forgot it. The scars of war were too deep to ignore. Captain Mira Lane stood at the wide glass window of the Earth Council Tower. She wore a black uniform with a silver crest on the chest, the mark of Earth's defense force. Her sharp eyes studied the world below. It was a view she had seen 100 times before, but today it felt heavier. Today could be the start of another war. Behind her, the council chamber buzzed with low voices. 12 leaders from the different regions of Earth sat around a round table. They spoke urgently, their faces tense. Mira turned as Chairwoman Alara Vance, the highest authority on Earth, called for silence. "We cannot allow another attack," Alara said firmly. Her voice carried across the room. "The Dravik Empire has ignored every warning. We either show strength now, or we invite our destruction." The room fell silent. All eyes turned to Mira. "You are the best we have," Alara continued. "You believe in peace. That's why you will deliver our final message." Mira stepped forward. Her voice was calm and steady. "I understand. What exactly am I authorized to say?" Alara's lips tightened. "Tell them, stop attacking, or we stop pretending to be courteous. If they continue, we will respond with full force. No more warnings." Mira nodded. Inside, she felt a storm of emotions, sadness, anger, and a small cold seed of fear. She had spent her life believing in diplomacy, but even she knew there was a limit. The meeting ended quickly after that. The council members filed out, some looking relieved, others grim. Mira stayed behind for a moment, staring again at the ruined world below. She thought of the history books she had read as a child, the wars that had nearly wiped out humanity. She thought of the fragile peace they had rebuilt over generations, and she thought of how easily it could all fall apart again. As she left the chamber, her second-in-command, Lieutenant Ryan Holt, walked beside her. "You think they'll listen this time?" he asked. Mira shook her head slowly. "No, but we have to try." Outside, the sun dipped behind the horizon. The floating city's lights blinked on, shining like stars against the darkening sky. Far beyond, hidden among the real stars, enemy ships were waiting. Tomorrow she would speak to Varek's soul. Tomorrow Earth would issue its final warning. And after that, everything could change. The next morning, Captain Mira Lane stood in the command center of the defense tower. Around her, large screens showed the floating city's borders, the ruined lands below, and the stars above. But today, the most important screen was in front of her, the direct link to Varek's soul. Technicians worked quietly at their stations. They set up the transmission carefully. Mira knew this call was risky. One wrong word could start a war that would end millions of lives. Lieutenant Ryan Holt stood at her side. His hand rested near the console, ready to cut the call if things turned bad. The countdown started. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The screen flashed, and Varek's soul appeared. He was sitting on a dark metal throne inside his flagship. His armor gleamed under a red light. His eyes, cold and sharp, locked onto Mira. He smiled. But it was not a kind smile. "Captain Mira Lane," he said slowly, almost mocking. "To what do I owe this honor?" Mira kept her face calm. "We are tired of your attacks, Warlord Soul. Earth has been patient, too patient. This is your final warning." Varek chuckled, the sound low and cruel. "Final warning. How many final warnings have you given before?" Mira did not blink. Her voice was firm. "Stop attacking, or we stop pretending to be courteous. If you continue, we will respond with full force." For a moment, there was silence. Then Varek leaned forward, his face filling the screen. "You Earthlings speak of peace while hiding behind weapons," he sneered. "You think you can scare us with empty threats?" Mira answered simply, "We do not bluff." Varek's smile faded. His eyes narrowed. "We are not afraid of you," he said. You cling to your dying planet like insects. We will crush you when we choose. Mira's hand tightened into a fist at her side. But she forced herself to stay still. She had delivered the message. Now, it was Varek's choice. We hope you choose survival, Mira said. The next move is yours. Without waiting for a reply, she signaled the technician. The screen went black. The room was quiet for a few long seconds. Then Lieutenant Holt spoke. That could have gone better. Mira let out a slow breath. It went exactly how I expected. They both knew the truth. Varek would not back down. He saw Earth's patience as weakness. He saw Earth's hope for peace as an invitation to attack. Mira walked to the wide window at the far end of the room. Outside, the sky was clear and blue, peaceful. For now, we prepare the defenses, she said quietly. He's coming. As she spoke, far beyond Earth's atmosphere, Varek's ships were already turning toward them. The countdown to war had begun. Captain Mira Lane walked alone through the Hall of Remembrance. The hall was a long, quiet corridor deep inside the defense tower. Its walls were lined with glass cases, each holding relics from Earth's past wars. Burnt helmets, broken rifles, torn flags. Above every case, a name, a date, a battle. Mira stopped in front of one case. Inside it, a small cracked photo showed a family, smiling, unaware their world would soon be destroyed. The caption read, "The last day of New Chicago 2139. She stared at the photo for a long time. Earth had nearly destroyed itself once. Nations fighting nations. Greed, fear, anger. It had all led to the great collapse. Billions had died. Only after centuries of rebuilding had peace been possible. And now, it was all at risk again." Footsteps echoed behind her. Mira turned to see Lieutenant Rian Holt approaching, his face serious. "You should get some rest, Captain," he said. "You'll need your strength." Mira shook her head. "I can't rest. Not now." Rian hesitated. Then he said quietly, "Do you think, maybe we should strike first? If we wait for them to attack, we might lose everything." Mira looked back at the old photo. "That's what they thought back then too," she said. "Strike first, end the threat. They thought it would save them. It only made the world burn faster." Rian frowned. "But we have better weapons now. Stronger defenses." Mira gave a small, tired smile. And so did they. She walked further down the hall, past more relics, a scorched battlesuit, a shattered drone, a child's toy found in the rubble. "Peace is fragile," she said softly. "It's built slowly, carefully. But war destroys everything in a heartbeat." Rian followed her in silence. He had heard the history lessons too. But seeing Mira standing among the ghosts of the past made it feel more real. After a while, Mira stopped. "I will not be the one to start another war," she said firmly. "But if Varek forces our hand, we will fight. We will fight to survive." Rian nodded. There was nothing more to say. They walked out of the hall together. Outside, the stars shined brightly in the night sky. Somewhere among them, the enemy was gathering. Mira looked up at the stars. She sent a silent message into the darkness. "Please choose peace." But deep down she knew Varek's soul would not listen. The past was heavy, and the future was uncertain. The command center buzzed with low voices and the soft hum of machines. Captain Mira Lane stood at the front, hands behind her back, eyes fixed on the giant central screen. Today was the day Earth would show its true strength. She wore her full commander's uniform. Dark jacket, silver stripes, polished boots. Every part of her was sharp, focused. No fear, only duty. Behind her, members of Earth's Defense Council watched silently. They had trusted her to carry out the final warning. Now it was time. Lieutenant Rian Holt stood ready at the communication console. He glanced at Mira, waiting for her signal. Mira nodded once. "Open all channels," she ordered. "Broadcast to every fleet, every outpost, every Dravak ship within range." Rian pressed the controls. Across space, hundreds of receivers activated. Earth's message would be heard by friend and enemy alike. Mira stepped forward. Her voice was steady, clear, and cold. This is Captain Mira Lane of Earth's Defense Force. She paused. Just a moment. Enough time for every ear to tune in, every mind to sharpen. We have tried peace. We have offered mercy. You have answered with violence. She took a breath. This is your final warning. Stop attacking, or we stop pretending to be courteous. Around her the room was silent. No one moved, no one breathed. Mira continued. We are ready. We are armed. We will defend our people with everything we have. You have one chance to stand down. Choose wisely. She cut the transmission herself. The screen went black. A heavy silence hung over the command center. Then on another screen, Earth's secret weapons came into view. Massive defense platforms, hidden among asteroids. Invisible strike fleets cloaked near the moon. Orbital cannons capable of destroying entire battleships in a single shot. They had kept these weapons hidden for decades, hoping they would never need them. Now the galaxy knew. Ryan broke the silence. No more pretending. Mira nodded. No more. Reports started flooding in. Dravak scouts retreating. Dravak battleships regrouping. No immediate attack, but no sign of surrender either. Mira knew Varek's soul was thinking, calculating, deciding whether to risk it all. She turned to the council. Prepare all defense systems, she said. We gave them the choice. If they come, we will be ready. Outside, Earth's defense forces moved like a silent storm. Ships taking positions, shields activating, weapons charging. The final game had begun. And Earth was done playing nice. The first warning came just after midnight. An alarm blared through the defense tower. Red lights flashed. The central screen lit up with incoming reports. Dravak ships approaching fast, weapons ready. Captain Mira Lane stood in the center of the command room, calm but tense. She had hoped Varek's soul would choose peace. Deep down, she knew he wouldn't. Lieutenant Ryan Holt rushed to her side. Dravak fleet spotted. 30 warships, moving toward Novaterra. Mira gave a short nod. Sound battle stations, all forces to defensive positions. Sirens rang across the floating city. Pilots raced to their ships. Defense crews manned their stations. Massive cannons turned toward the sky, ready to fire. Mira opened a direct line to all Earth's forces. This is Captain Mira Lane. Hold your positions. Defend the city. Fight with everything you have. The screen showed the Dravak fleet breaking through Earth's outer defense lines. Lasers flashed across the blackness of space. Earth's hidden weapons fired back, tearing through enemy ships. Explosions lit up the darkness like fireworks. Mira watched closely, giving calm, sharp orders. Squadron Delta, flank left. Shield units, reinforce Sector 7. Prepare the orbital cannons. The battle grew fiercer. Dravak ships, fast and brutal, swarmed toward Novaterra. Earth's forces fought back hard, but the enemy kept coming. Mira's hands tightened into fists. She saw Earth's ships, her ships falling in bright bursts of light. She saw enemy vessels slicing through defenses like knives. Then, with a cold voice, she gave the final order. Activate the Valkyrie protocol. A technician hesitated. Captain, once we launch it, there's no going back. Mira's voice was steady. Do it. High above the planet, 3 massive weapons platforms came online. Beams of concentrated energy, brighter than any star, shot from them. The beams sliced through the Dravak fleet, cutting ships in half, vaporizing others instantly. In minutes, half of Varek's soul's armada was gone. But the Dravak were relentless. They regrouped and pressed on. Mira's screen flashed. A personal communication request. It was Varek's soul. She accepted it without hesitation. Varek's face appeared. Blood smeared across his armor, his eyes burning with rage. You would destroy everything to protect your dying world, he spat. Mira stared at him coldly. We offered peace. You chose war. Varek's image crackled and faded. A sign that his ship was failing. The battle raged on for another hour. But it was clear Earth had the upper hand. One by one the remaining Dravak ships fell. At last, the screen cleared. The skies were silent again. But it was not a victory that felt sweet. Mira looked around the command center. She saw tired faces. She saw sorrow. Earth had survived, but at a terrible cost. Outside, debris from destroyed ships rained down through the atmosphere, burning up like falling stars. Mira closed her eyes briefly. It was over, for now. The battlefield drifted in silence. Wreckage floated above Earth like a broken crown. Shattered Dravak ships, burned out Earth fighters, pieces of metal and life lost forever. Inside the command center, Captain Mira Lane stood still, her face pale under the dim lights. She had won. Earth had survived. But it didn't feel like a victory. Lieutenant Ryan Holt came to her side. His uniform was torn, a cut bleeding lightly above his eyebrow. He carried a tablet filled with casualty lists. Over 3,000 dead, he said quietly, and hundreds more missing. Mira took the tablet. Her eyes scanned the names, faces she had known, voices she would never hear again. They fought for peace, she said. Her voice was low but steady. Outside, the floating city's defenses still hummed with energy. Earth was safe for now. But at what cost? A soft beep from the console pulled her attention. A personal message from the council. A request for Mira to make a public address. She sighed. The people needed to hear from her. They needed hope. Mira walked to the broadcast room. The camera switched on, sending her image across the city, to every screen, every home. She spoke simply. Today we defended our world. Today we proved that Earth will not surrender to fear or violence. She paused, thinking of all the lost lives, the wreckage above, the tears waiting at home. But today is not a day for celebration. It is a day to remember, a day to honor the brave souls who fought for our future. She ended the speech with a promise. We will rebuild, we will heal, and we will protect what we have fought for. The broadcast ended. Mira sat quietly for a moment, feeling the heavy silence fill the room. Later that night, she stood alone on the observation deck, looking out at the stars. There, in the distance, a small flare blinked. The final wreckage of Varric Sol's flagship, breaking apart in the void. She remembered his last words, full of anger and pride. But he was wrong. Earth wasn't weak. It was strong because it had learned when to fight, and when to hope. Ryan joined her, his step soft. Was it worth it? He asked. Mira didn't answer right away. She watched a piece of metal burn up in the atmosphere, a bright streak across the sky. Ask me again in 100 years, she said quietly, when there's still a world left to protect. They stood there in silence, watching the night sky, carrying the weight of the battle, and the memory of those who had fallen. The war was over, but the cost would never be forgotten. Weeks passed. The floating city of Novaterra moved slowly across the skies, casting its long shadow over the healing Earth below. In the streets, people worked together, repairing homes, rebuilding schools, planting gardens where rubble once stood. Life was returning. Captain Mira Lane walked through the city's memorial plaza. It was a quiet place, filled with trees and stone paths. At the center stood a new monument, a tall pillar of black stone, etched with thousands of names, the heroes who had fallen during the battle. Mira approached the monument. She placed her hand gently on the cold stone. Each name told a story, a life given so others could live. Behind her, families gathered, laying flowers at the base of the pillar. Children laughed nearby, playing simple games. Life was moving forward, even as they remembered the past. Lieutenant Ryan Holt found Mira standing alone. He wore a clean uniform, his wounds healed, but his eyes carried the same tiredness Mira felt inside. They would have been proud, Ryan said. Nodding toward the monument, Mira gave a small smile. They are the reason we're still standing. They walked together down the winding paths, past fountains and small gardens blooming with new life. The Earth Council had offered Mira a promotion, High Commander of Earth's Defense. She had turned it down. She didn't want power. She wanted peace. She wanted to make sure what happened with the Dravaka never happened again. As they reached the edge of the plaza, Mira looked out at the horizon. Green fields stretched far into the distance. the first signs of Earth's full recovery. We must stay ready, she said quietly, not out of fear, but because peace is something we must protect. Every day. Rayan nodded. We will. They stood there for a long moment, feeling the warm sun on their faces. In the sky above, defense ships patrolled silently, not as a threat, but as a promise Earth would never again be caught helpless. Mira touched the small badge on her chest, the silver crest of Earth's defense, and closed her eyes. She thought of the battles fought, the lives lost, and the long road ahead, and she made a promise, not just to herself, but to everyone who would come after her. We will remember, she whispered, and we will endure. The wind carried her words away, up into the wide, endless sky. The battle was over. The war was done. The future was waiting.